I'm Liliane Balbach. I'm a registered dietitian and health educator, and I love to talk about health and share what I have learned in my training and with the patients I had, and also with people where I travel to some other places around the world. So, picture yourself in an emergency room next to a family member who had just had a heart attack. If they had this information that I'm about to share with you, they most likely could have prevented it. Our goal is to give you information to empower you, to inspire you, and to help you make healthy choices that will make a difference for you and your loved ones. Do you want to live to be 100?
No.
No? How about even just 80 years old or 90 years old? And if you're young, I see some nice young people here among us. They can't imagine living to 80 or 90, but they would just like to perhaps have energy, to live healthier, stronger, and happier. Is that true? We all want to feel that no matter what age we are, right? And so we want to have a productive, vibrant life. We don't want to just be sitting at our desks and having no energy to go for a walk or for a jog. And if we're older, just imagine some years down the line, we don't want to be sitting in a wheelchair in a nursing home. We want to enjoy our friends, our family, garden, travel. Let's see what we can do. Let's look at the top research on health and longevity and discover the key factors to a healthy, long life. Here, as you can see, these are the 10 top diseases that cause death in our country. As you can see on the top is heart disease, then cancer, then we have iatrogenic diseases. Do you know what those diseases are? Those are diseases that are caused by medical errors in the hospital, whether by equipment or by doctors or physicians, or by side effects from drugs that they prescribed to you. And these drugs were right for your disease, but they gave you such strong side effects that they caused death. Or they can be by wrong medication or any of these things. And so we want to live a healthy life so we don't have to go to the hospital if possible. But there are sometimes we do, like we have to have surgery on our hand or feet if we fell, or I had foot surgery for my bunion, and it was a day hospital, so I had to go. And then we have here chronic lower respiratory diseases, accidents, stroke, Alzheimer's, diabetes, influenza, pneumonia, kidney disease, suicide, Parkinson's disease, and so on. All of these diseases can be prevented through a healthy lifestyle. Actually, this is another list from Dr. Michael Greger, and he divides them into 15 diseases. He divides the different cancers he doesn't put all the cancers into one. Blood cancers, digestive cancers, liver disease, and cirrhosis. So it's just another way of looking at it. So what causes these chronic diseases that I have just shown you? There's a pandemic of these diseases which have been attributed to a nearly universal shift from a diet mostly of healthy plant foods to processed and animal foods. If you can look at this graph, 63% of our calories come from added refined grains to which fats, oils, and sugars have been added. And not only that, but other foods and sodas and pies and cakes and desserts and so forth. Then 25% of our calories come from cholesterol-laden foods, such as meat, dairy, eggs, seafood, fish, and so on. And then we have only 12% of our food coming from whole foods that you find in the garden. And these are your vegetables, fruits, legumes, nuts, seeds, and whole grains. And you know what is interesting? Out of this whole graph, which food group only has fiber? Is there any fiber in animal foods? No, unless you eat the package that the meat is packed in. Otherwise, there isn't any, right? Okay, is there any fiber in processed foods? Hardly, unless sometimes they add sawdust under a different kind of name. So basically, the only fiber we get is the fiber from plant foods. And they have found that in China now, China used to be a very healthy country because they ate mostly plant-based. They ate soy, rice, and lots of green vegetables. But now, the American diet is going to China, and they're getting obesity. The Chinese were thin, slender, healthy people. They're getting obesity, diabetes. They're getting heart disease and cancer. So that is sad how our diet affects a whole nation. Now, the research I'm going to present to you, it's not some one little study that was done on longevity. These are 4 large studies on longevity with lots of people. The first is the cancer prevention study that looked at 1 million people. And then we have the Alameda County Good Practices Health Study with 7,000 people. The Adventist Health Study with 34,000 people. And basically what they did, they followed these people for 6 to 12 years to see who lived and who died. And then they analyzed the data. They looked at what health practices they had in their lifestyle. And they looked at which health practices helped them to live long and which health practices helped them to live shorter. So, the 4 lifestyle factors that predict good health is number 1, being physically active, exercising at least 30 minutes per day. That's the first one. The second health habit is eating healthy foods, and we will define that later on. Number 3, maintaining a healthy weight with a BMI of less than 30. And the 4th health habit is to never smoke. So people who practice all 4 of these health habits reduced the risk of diabetes, cancer, and stroke by 78%. Isn't that amazing? Just 4 simple health habits reduced diabetes, cancer, and stroke, and heart disease, heart attacks, by 78%. Now, the Adventist Health Study and the Alameda County Study found 4 of those health habits that we already mentioned: regular exercise, healthy weight, and whole grain breads and cereals. And they added 3 more: getting adequate sleep, eating plant-based foods, not smoking, drinking, or using illicit drugs. So let me take a quick survey here. I like to take a little survey. How many of you are practicing one of these health habits? Raise your hand. That's pretty good. I'd say half the group. How many of you are practicing 2 of these health habits? Okay, that's still good, about the same number. How many of you are practicing 3 of these health habits? Okay, a little less. And how many 4? Okay, a little less. And 5. Okay, now the pickings are getting slim. And 6. Still a few. Wow, this is a pretty healthy group. And 7. All right. Okay, we have about 4 or 5. Good for you. Amazing, amazing group. So let's talk about number 1, getting adequate sleep. How many of you get 7 or 8 hours of sleep every night? Just a few of you. Let's see what can. This will be just a few short slides on sleep. We need to talk about sleep another time. But basically, people who sleep 7 to 8 hours a night have lower mortality rates from all diseases. Okay? They have better physical health in general, better mental and emotional health. They're able to handle stress. They have less anxiety. They're not so fearful. They're not so edgy. They have higher energy and better productivity. People who don't sleep enough are irritable. They have reduced attention spans and rapid mood changes. And people who have insomnia have a 40% risk of becoming depressed. And if you lose just 3 hours of sleep, you can cut your immunity by half. Just one night, 3 hours of less sleep. So it's not a good idea to do this. So not only is it important to get enough sleep, but we need to take time to relax during the day. You know, we as a people in this country are very busy. We have 100 things going on. When I visited Europe, Serbia, the country I'm from, the people there somehow have a slower lifestyle. They go and talk to their neighbors. And they, you know, when we had these health lectures, we had them very late. It was like, started at 8 o'clock at night. And when we were done, it was like 9:30 to 10. And they're just sitting around, talking, socializing, not a worry in the world. And they have to go to work tomorrow. So it's important to take time to relax and connect with friends and people. And to have fun in the process too, right? Make sure you have fun every day. Let the mind and the body unwind in whatever makes you happy, whether to play some nice classical music, I know I like that, whether it's to cook, I like that too. Whatever you like, find a hobby that you can enjoy, to garden, to play with your grandchildren, with your children, with your friends. But also another great health habit is to have a short nap. How many of you take a nap every day? A few. Naps are very good. Naps are very good for you. Lack of sleep can lower your immunity and make you more susceptible to illness. Napping studies have shown that people who nap, they have a lower risk of coronary heart disease, and they live longer. So it doesn't have to be long, 20, 30 minutes, but it really helps. I love to nap, and it really helps me for the rest of my day to accomplish a lot. In fact, a nap gets me so energized that I have a hard time stopping at night, and that's not good either. You want to unwind in the evening before. So how to improve sleep? Here's some simple habits. Early light supper, 3 to 4 hours before bedtime. So instead of eating a big steak and mashed potatoes and gravy and salad, that's a huge dinner. With a steak or some kind of a meat, you have a lot of fat. It takes at least 6 hours to digest, to 7 hours. So if you eat at 7 plus 6 is how much? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. About 1 o'clock in the morning. And when you're sleeping and your food is digesting, it takes twice as long to digest. So your stomach is working all through the night. It's like a machine, like a lawnmower. Imagine if you took your lawnmower and kept the engine going day and night. What would happen to it? Yeah, the engine would, be damaged. It would die. That's what we do to our digestive system if we eat a heavy meal in the evening. So a very light supper like a salad or a soup or a very small piece of protein, something that's going to digest quickly. If you really want to even improve your sleep better, skip your evening meal and eat a great big breakfast and let breakfast and lunch be your bigger meals. And that's possible. You just drink water or eat one fruit. Sleep in a dark, quiet, cool room. That's very important. And exercise and work outdoors in the afternoon or early evening. Listen to soothing classical music. That's when you unwind. Unwind with listening to some nice calming music. And I like to read the Psalms. The Psalms are full of encouraging beautiful messages from our Creator. And it just makes me put all my worries and anxiety into His hands, and I have a prayer, nothing to worry about in the world. So that's a good way to fall asleep. We read, "It is vain for you to rise up early, to sit up late, to eat the bread of sorrows, so He gives His beloved sleep." Our Creator never sleeps. Have you thought about that? He never sleeps. He's on duty 24/7. And He's taking care of all the problems. So there's nothing to worry about. It's important to set your body's light clock. And to do that, we want to expose ourselves to natural light during the day. So go outside during the day. Have regular times for bedtime and awakening. And then shut off all your television, electronic, and media devices, even your cell phone, 1 to 3 hours before bedtime. Dr. Neil Nedley, who does a lot of research on patients to improve mental performance and decrease depression, he says 3 hours before bedtime, we should shut our electronic devices to have good sleep. Because artificial light, such as electronic devices, they interfere with our melatonin production. Set your worries aside. When you lie down, you will not be afraid. Yes, you will lie down, and your sleep shall be sweet. So whatever is worrying you at night, your finances, your job, your family, write it down on a piece of paper next to your bed, and then give it to your Creator. And He'll take care of it. And then go to sleep. The second goal for a healthy lifestyle is to exercise regularly. Exercise is the best predictor of longevity. Each hour that we exercise, we increase our lifespan by 2 hours. Isn't that amazing? So if we exercise 6 days a week for, let's say, an hour each day, so that's how many extra? Each hour you exercise, that's about 14 hours extra of our lifespan. Pardon me? 12 hours, that's right. Thank you. So the alumni who exercised regularly had half the death rate from heart disease versus those who never exercised. People who exercise overcome osteoporosis. They don't get it. Their bones don't get thin and brittle. They maintain their weight. They have a lower risk of certain cancers. Did you realize that exercise is good for preventing certain cancers also? It helps people cope with day-to-day problems, diabetes. Our blood sugar improves, and our insulin sensitivity improves also with exercise. Exercise doesn't have to be always walking and jogging and bicycling. It can be working in the garden. That's something very, very practical. Work in the garden with your family members, digging, shoveling, planting. That's very, very good exercise. You get sunshine, you get fresh air, you play in the dirt, and even that is beneficial, right? And people who exercise are sick less often. They have more energy, better weight control, cope better with stress, less depression and anxiety. They have a more positive self-image and live longer and healthier. Exercise also enhances memory, and they have found that it brings better results than most counseling for people who are depressed. So how much should we exercise? At least 30 minutes a day, 5 or more times per week. And for people who would like to lose weight, it's 1 hour a day. And for people who would like to overcome problems with anxiety and depression, it's 1 hour a day. And we don't want to get discouraged let's say you're not exercising at all, and you say, oh, I can't imagine going 1 hour a day. Just start with 10 minutes a day, and do it for a week. And then you will like it, and then you increase it for another 10 minutes, and you go step by step, and you get a walking partner. It's always fun to walk with a friend or neighbor or a dog. Dogs are also lots of fun. We have a neighbor in my neighborhood, and he goes summer, winter, rain with his little dog. You can barely see. It's freezing cold, but he's there for sure because he has a little friend, and this friend needs to go for a walk, so he's going along with him. So sometimes we tell each other or our doctor, we don't have time, and what fits in your busy schedule better, exercising an hour a day or being dead 24 hours a day? Pardon me? The second one. And being dead 24 hours a day. Okay. So research has also shown that people who exercise but sit too much in their office, like some of us, are also at risk for being sick and having diseases. How many of you sit in an office all day? Just one? Just one person? What about the rest of you? You have walking jobs? Okay, that's unusual. Okay. Okay. So, if you have a sit-down job, make sure you take a break every single hour. 5 minutes, go to the restroom, go for a little quick walk in the parking lot and get back. Or just, if you can't get away from your desk, do some squats by your desk or some arm circles or something. So here we have, the more we sit, the more sick we get. Diabetes is increased by 2 times, and mortality from cardiovascular disease is increased 2 times, and all causes of mortality are increased 1.5 times by sitting too much at work. The second health habit is to eat healthy fats, and we have some healthy fats here. How many of you like these? Yes, they're delicious. I'm so thankful that lately the avocado prices have been dropping in Roanoke. At Aldi's and different places, and I'm from California, we're used to getting very good deals on avocados, but here we've been really blessed lately. So we want to eat nuts and seeds daily, a variety of nuts and a variety of seeds, sunflower, flax, pumpkin, sesame, and I forgot to put their chia. And nut butters. Now, when you buy nut butters, you want to get the natural nut butter that has nothing added to it. No sugar, no salt, just plain peanuts or plain almonds. So let's talk about flaxseed. What are the side effects of eating flax seeds? Several studies have shown that just 2 to 3 tablespoons of ground flax seeds a day can lower your blood pressure better than blood pressure meds. Did you hear me? 2 to 3 tablespoons of ground flaxseed can lower your blood pressure better than blood pressure meds. And here are the side effects, more side effects, good side effects. It decreases prostate and breast cancer. It lowers your cholesterol and your triglycerides. Those are blood fats. It lowers your blood sugar. It reduces inflammation. It reduces rheumatoid arthritis. And children who are given flaxseed or omega-3 type of fats have improved learning, improved memory, and improved attention spans. It is powerful.
You said 2 to 3 tablespoons?
2 to 3 tablespoons ground. ground. And I will talk about this a little later. Now, what is the power of flax seeds? What do flax seeds have? They have a soluble fiber. This is a fiber that slows down your digestion. So when you eat flaxseed, if you have high blood sugar, it doesn't spike up quickly, but it goes slowly and gradually up and keeps you full for a long time. It has alpha-linolenic acid, which is omega-3 fatty acids, which is misspelled here. It's the highest in omega-3 fatty acid. It has lignans. Now, lignans are anti-cancer compounds that are very important for people who have cancer to survive and to prevent cancer. So it's good for cancer prevention and cancer survival. They did a study with women who have breast cancer and who had a higher lignin intake. Who had a lot of flaxseed in their diet, they lived longer than the women who didn't take the flaxseed. Isn't that amazing? Do you see what wonderful power there is in plant foods? To me, this is very, very exciting. So, flaxseed, if you don't grind them, they can sit on your counter for a year and nothing will go wrong with them. And they would, if you eat them, they will just come out the other end. But you need to grind them. And it's nice to grind them. This is flax and chia. If you have chia, grind them together. Put them in the jar in the fridge. Don't grind more than you can eat in 3-4 days because you don't want it, you want it fresh. And then sprinkle it on anything you want. On your cereal, we always put it on cereal. You can put it on salad. You can put it on yogurt, whatever you like. Walnuts. Walnuts also are high in omega-3. They're the highest omega-3 nut. People who eat walnuts live longer. Those who had nuts 5 or more times per week had a 51% decrease in heart attacks. A simple thing like eating walnuts, is that hard? It's delicious, right? The greatest benefit was for cancer prevention. 50% decrease in stroke by eating walnuts 5 days a week.
How much walnuts?
A handful, which is about 1/4 of a cup. Thanks for bringing that up. Now, it's very interesting. They did this study, and they gave people walnuts. For 4 years, they were supplying walnuts to make sure they eat them so they can measure if walnuts are beneficial. And after the 4 years, they found that those people, they had the same diet, which was not a plant-based diet. They were eating a regular diet. After 4 years, they had a 50% lower stroke rate than those who had no walnuts. So it works. It's a magic kind of nut. Now, while we want to eat the healthy fats, we want to crowd out the animal fats. And we're looking here, you've seen saturated fat. Saturated fat is hard at room temperature. It's what makes up the white streaks of marbling in bacon and steak, right? It makes whole milk creamy and cheese waxy. And you can find it in ice cream and butter and meat and chicken and sausage and burgers and roast beef. We want to crowd out these kind of fats with the healthy fats. Why? Because a diet high in saturated fat and cholesterol results in a higher risk of heart disease and stroke, high blood pressure, diabetes, prostate, bowel, breast, colon, rectal cancers, obesity, and Alzheimer's. So here we have just a quick chart. The taller chart, as you see, these men who were eating the most saturated fat had a 72% increased risk of heart disease. This is an artery that is plugging up with saturated fat. Notice how the opening is getting smaller and the outside of the artery wall is thicker And so as the wall gets thicker, the opening gets smaller. Eventually, it gets so small that the blood cannot flow through, and then a person has a heart attack. But the problem is, there are usually no signs of the disease until the artery is 90 to 95% plugged. And then it's too late. So that's why this is important to know these things, so you can take action, right? We want to talk about trans fats. We want to eliminate trans fats. Trans fats are found in animal foods, but they also are found in commercial fats that the food industry has discovered is a really good product. What they have done, they have added hydrogen to regular oil, vegetable oil. And so the vegetable oil becomes solid at room temperature. It has a longer shelf life, and they use it in their deep fryers in some restaurants, but they use it in a lot of other products. And do you see what is this sneaky hidden ingredient in trans fats? It's written there on the bottom. Partially hydrogenated. Whenever you see those two words, it means it has trans fats. But of course, the food companies are very clever. The government says you can't have any trans fats. It has to be 0. But you're allowed to have half a gram, and it's okay. You don't have to report it. So there's 5 cookies here. It says 0 trans fats when there really is half a gram. Now, if you look in the ingredients, it has partially hydrogenated soybean or cottonseed oil. So who eats? Now, these are tiny little cookies, okay? Who's going to eat 5 cookies? You're going to eat at least 10 cookies, so you're going to get 1 gram of saturated fat, just like this, by eating cookies. But that is not all. Crackers, cakes, frozen pies, and other baked goods have them. Snack food, some microwave popcorn, ready-to-use frostings, and coffee creamers. So read your ingredients. If you see anything with a partially hydrogenated sign, don't buy it. What are the problems with trans fats besides the ones I shared with you? This is a new study I just found. This is amazing. It can cause inflammation in the cerebrospinal fluid, which is the colorless fluid around your brain and spinal cord. And this cerebrospinal fluid cushions our organs, and it picks up good blood and gets rid of waste products. So it can cause this fluid to have some of these inflammatory parameters. It causes insulin resistance, increases blood cholesterol and triglycerides. But the problem with this, which is the greatest, they have a half-life of 51 days. So it won't be out of your system for 102 days. That's 3 months after you eat it. Isn't that amazing? Look, so here you have a cup of coffee per day with a non-dairy creamer. In a month, you can have 15 to 30 grams of trans fats in your body circulating for 3 months, 102 days. What does a neurologist say about trans fats? He says, I'm frequently asked how to prevent dementia and preserve memory. With this and other evidence, I can confidently counsel my patients to avoid food with high trans fats. After all, sharp minds run on lean diets. So we have already mentioned some of these saturated and trans fats. Dementia, Alzheimer's, increased cholesterol, decreases your good cholesterol, impairs your mental function. So let's look at the sources of saturated fats. They come mostly from animal foods. Now we're going to look at the saturated fats and the cholesterol. Look, for example, we have a hamburger patty has 8 grams of saturated fat, 76 grams of cholesterol. Brains have only 2.5 grams of saturated fat, but 1,747 milligrams of cholesterol, and liver is 331. So the organ meats are very high. But people say, you know what, I just eat skinless chicken. Look, skinless chicken has only 1 gram of saturated fat, but 85 milligrams of cholesterol. It has more cholesterol than the hamburger patty or pork or something like that. So cheese, on the other hand, has 6 grams of saturated fat, which is pretty high for 1 ounce of cheese, versus if you look at some of the meats. So if you're eating meat, you want to choose lean cuts, trim off all the fat, eat it less often and in tiny portions. Eat more whole grains. We're talking about whole grain breads and cereals, 100% whole grain, at least 3 servings per day. This is a very easy way to reduce heart disease, diabetes, and obesity. There's oatmeal, there's whole grain cereal, there's whole grain rye, there's quinoa, there's brown rice, whole wheat pasta, buckwheat, millet. Millet is a very delicious cereal. I don't know if some of you have tried it. It's very, very good. Here, as you can see, people who are, some people say, I don't care for whole wheat. Why should I be eating whole wheat? But look at this. Just choosing to eat whole wheat bread versus white bread, there's a nearly half reduced risk of heart attacks. Just switching from white bread to whole wheat bread. The same over here with women in the nurses' health study. Those who had only 3 servings of whole grains a day, they had a 40 to 50% lower risk of stroke. A very simple change in a habit. The fourth is to maintain a healthy weight. A healthy weight is less than a BMI of less than 25. Another way to check your weight is to take one of those old-fashioned, what do you call them, tape measures that you sew with, We did that for one of our classes here, and you measure yourself around your waist at the level of the navel and have your abdomen relaxed. And for men, it should be less than 31, and for women, less than 32. People who had these kind of measurements had lower mortality. The problem with overweight and obesity in our country is that 1 in 3 adults are overweight, and 2 in 3 adults are overweight or obese, and 1 in 5 children and adolescents are obese. Because everything is mega-sized, they add lots of calories and fat that we don't know about, especially if we eat out. Even if we don't eat out, if we eat canned type of frozen foods, we don't know what's in there. Are we checking the labels and so forth? But look what happens with our health risks. Heart disease, high blood pressure, and gallbladder. We have a risk for getting these diseases 2 to 3 times more if we're overweight than if we're not. And diabetes is increased 6 to 10 times if we have too much weight on us. But the good news is you don't have to lose 50 pounds. Even just losing 10 pounds, 5 pounds can make a big difference in your blood sugar, blood fat levels, blood pressure, and significantly decrease overall health. So every pound you lose is toward a goal of feeling better. And don't be discouraged if you need to lose weight. You can do it. If you need help, I'd be glad to help you on one-on-one. choose whole foods. This is a way to lose weight. If you have a plate, half of your plate should come from fruits and vegetables every day. 1/4 can come from some kind of a protein like beans or if you eat meat or chicken. And then 1/4 will come from carbohydrates, from whole grains, okay? Now here, let me tell you a little bit about caloric density. What is the difference between these 3 meals? Pardon me? One's more filling. Okay. What about the first one? It's oil. So basically this is 3 1/3 tablespoons of oil is in that stomach, 400. And you can easily get that by some salad dressing and putting some margarine on bread or sour cream in no time. And you're still going to be hungry, right? Because there's no fiber in there, there is no nutrition, no phytochemicals, no nutrients, there's no water. Then you take 400 calories of chicken. It's not much better because like we said, it has no fiber, right? But if you take lots of vegetables, I was going to show you a demo, but I'll just tell you, in the 400 calories, you would have 1 head of romaine lettuce, 5 cups of broccoli, 28 baby carrots, and 33 grape tomatoes. Do you think you would be full? For sure. So this is the idea to keep in mind as you're trying to lose weight. You pick the foods that are high in bulk, the vegetables, the fruits, and then you're going not to be hungry. You don't have to be hungry, in other words, to lose weight. That's the idea. And number 6, eat more plant foods, more vegetables, fruits, legumes. These are beans and nuts, less fatty foods. Reduce and eliminate red meat, chicken, and fish. So, if you went to the doctor and you had heart problems, he would tell you to eat a heart-healthy diet if he was into nutrition. Not all doctors are. If you had problems with potentially getting a stroke, he will tell you to eat a brain-healthy diet. If you had kidney problems, which a lot of Americans do, he would tell you to eat a kidney-healthy diet. And if you had diabetes, he would tell you to eat a diabetic-friendly diet. Now, if you had all of these, how many diets would you need? A lot. Well, let me tell you the good news. Let's see here. You need only one diet for all of those. It's the same recipe. Plant-based diet. It's so easy. Do you see our Creator? He knew what he was doing when he gave us the plant-based diet because it has all the ingredients to conquer all the diseases. I think that's pretty exciting. One diet to prevent, arrest, and reverse all the killer diseases. Number 7, be free from dependency. Smoking, alcohol, illicit drugs kills more people than any other poor health habit. So these 3, staying free of dependencies is key to good health. If you have a loved one who is smoking, maybe you can share this with them. Every cigarette you smoke shortens your life about 7 minutes. Each day you smoke, your life expectancy is shortened about 3 hours. You lose 1 day of your future for every 8 days you smoke. And alcohol is responsible for lots of deaths, 80,000 deaths, and these are due to cancer, high blood pressure, accidents, suicide, homicide. And the interesting thing is that most health organizations, because of the risk of alcohol abuse is high, most health organizations do not recommend you take up drinking even in moderate amounts. Some people say, well, if I drink, that'll help me with heart disease. There are other ways to lower heart disease risk. Did you see all the ways? You can drink grape juice. You don't have to drink alcohol. So alcohol consumption is not recommended. We have presented before you the evidence from science how you can live longer and healthier. It's your choice if you will follow it or not. But I just want to share with you, all our enjoyment or suffering may be traced to obedience or transgression of natural law. These are natural laws that we shared with you. And if we obey them, we will have health. And if we don't, you know, what would be the result if Americans followed these 7 health principles? Just think about it. We would have no diabetes, no heart disease, or very little, cancer, hypertension, stroke, obesity, whatever. You know, there's a promise in the book of Ecclesiastes that said, "Blessed is the land whose king is the son of nobles and whose princes eat at proper time for strength and not for drunkenness." So we can choose to eat at the right time, the right food that will make us strong and healthy. The average person could add 5 extra years to their life. How many of you would like to add 5 extra? I would. Those following all 7 health practices lived 10 to 12 years longer. Or you can enjoy, if you're young, a level of health as someone who is 20 to 30 years younger than you. How would you like that? Yeah. That would be pretty awesome. Yes. Now, this is an amazing man, Kim Williams. Dr. Kim Williams, Chief of Cardiology at Rush University. He's the president of the American College of Cardiology. He says, "I don't mind dying. I just don't want it to be my own fault." Now, let me tell you his story. He said, "I thought I had a healthy diet." Well, first of all, he has these patients who has high cholesterol and high fats come to him, and he tells him what they need to do. And the patient goes and follows the plant-based diet, comes back, and he's shocked at the result the patient has had. Later down the road, he gets a high cholesterol. And then he says, "I thought I had a healthy diet. No red meat, no fried foods, little dairy, just chicken breast and fish." He said, "But a simple web search showed me that chicken breast had more cholesterol, 84 milligrams, than pork, which had 62. So he said, "I changed my diet to a cholesterol-free diet using meat substitutes." So he was using the meat substitutes. He wasn't even cooking from scratch, okay? And he says, within 6 weeks, my LDL, bad cholesterol level, was down to 90. Can you believe that? And since then, he's a plant-based eater, and wherever he goes, he shares this with his patients, he shares with his doctor friends, and they respect him, they don't make fun of him. So if he can do it, we can do it, right? So good health is a choice. If you make it a choice to be healthy, you will not have the chance of getting diabetes and heart disease and all these diseases. But you say, "It's too late to start now. I haven't been exercising, I've been eating and drinking all my life." No matter what your age, if you start now, one habit at a time, you can overcome. And you can feel immediate results, better energy, and so forth. So thank you very much for your attentiveness. And we have completed this part of our program.